No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. The God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. If there's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you are not alone and someone cares for you. As an individualization of divine point of view, this door is open to you. This door is open. This door right here, this door is open for you. This door is open to you.
Now we're on. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So we have the reverb going on again. I love that. It happened last week, and what I noticed is it does not play. Actually, the reverb doesn't happen on the live stream, so they had no idea what I was talking about. So every moment's a new moment to begin again. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Reverend Chrissy. I'm the Associate Minister here at Unity of the Blue Ridge. It is my honor and my pleasure to be of service to this amazing community. I want to welcome everyone here in person and welcome for our live stream viewers. I got a very special day today. We've got special guest speaker Meagen Gosiewski. We have a beautiful new musician with us, Elaine Scott. So you are in for a real treat. So let's just open with a prayer. I invite you to close your eyes if you wish. And we know that there's only one life. It is the life of God, and this is our life now. Every moment is that divine life recreating itself, expressing in and through and as each of us, beautifully, uniquely. And as we relax into that awareness, our world and our experience expands with all that God is. Love, peace, beauty, health, wholeness, harmony. And so I know that we come here to understand that at a deeper level, to recognize that divinity in one another, to open our hearts and open our minds and let that divine light and life flow. For our very presence is the presence of Spirit, and our very presence is a blessing. And in that we are all blessed. So we give great thanks for the opportunity to live, to love, to recognize our divinity. And so it is. Amen. Thank you, Dave. So I would like to invite you to take a look at one another here in person. These are the folks you are in spiritual community with. And you know, our spiritual community does not end at this point. At the point of this room, we have viewers and participants around the globe. So I invite you to turn around and look at the cameras in the back, give a little wave, namaste, and welcome. And so now we have a very exciting day in our youth program. Our mentoring moments are beginning today, and our congregant, Fred Racy, who's probably already back there, will be teaching the kids about flying and about his experience as a pilot. And there are opportunities, if you have a special gift you would like to share with our youth program. We have mentoring moments. Our next one will be Rev Deborah on the chakras. So today is Fred Racy, and he's got a whole program of fun planned. So if there are any other kids, and perhaps we can do this for adults down the road, but if there are any kids that would like to participate in that, just go ahead and join Reverend Gabby and Reverend Barbara Ann, and we're going to extend a blessing to you. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the divinity in you. Thank you. And so now I would like to invite Elaine Scott up. We are blessed with yet another amazing musician to join us. We've got our Unity Band, thank you, led by David Washington, thank you. Elaine Scott comes to us by way of Florida, Pennsylvania, and now living in Hendersonville. She loves to share her gift of music. She started out in gospel with her grandmother's support, and studied opera, then got into jazz, and now she's just kind of feeling her own way through sharing her own gifts. So we are blessed to have you here. Please welcome Elaine Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine and David, and our amazing band. We are certainly blessed in this community, yes? Whew. Well, I just want to touch on a few announcements. We have rolled out our Legacy Giving Program, and there is information about that out in the foyer if you are interested in that. And if you have questions, you can always call the office, and I'll direct you to the right folks to have that conversation with. I also want to let you know that registration is up. We have our homecoming retreat scheduled for October 7th through the 9th, and it's an opportunity for our virtual viewers to come experience what Unity of the Blue Ridge is, as well as local folks. And whether you're coming from afar or you are here locally, we ask that you pre-register. So when you go to the website and you go to the homecoming retreat, you can click on each presenter. There are lots of workshops and opportunities to connect and experience a deeper spiritual experience here. So when you click on that, it'll give you brief information about what the workshop is or the event is, who the facilitator is, and we'll be rolling out more information each day, each week until that happens. But there's a limited time to register, because what we're trying to do is gather information about how many will be here, so each facilitator has everything that they need to give you the best experience ever, and also helps us to pre-plan. So the sooner you can get online and register for that. If you are not able to get online, please call the office or see me afterwards. I have some paper forms that you can fill out and register as well. So that's coming up, so mark your calendars. Now I would like to invite Reverend Deborah Ogist. She is our Minister of Diversity Enrichment, and she is here to share our inspirational reading.
Hello.
Hello.
You know, with the 12 powers, July is the month where we practice understanding. And our understanding comes from our place of consciousness. I am reading from a book called Planting Your Daily Seeds by Deborah Satyagraha. When you do things from your soul, you feel a river moving in you, a joy. When action comes from another section, that feeling disappears. Rumi. There is something deep within each of us that seeks spiritual understanding. At times, it seems to elude us. We get caught up in the day-to-day activities and forget there is an orchestrator in our life. There are times when we feel the presence of God, and there are times when we feel detached. When you recognize that your life has turned to fear, self-centeredness, or distrust, these are the times when you are not practicing your communion with God. As you raise your spiritual understanding, these parts of your consciousness that support separateness decreases and no longer a part of your daily experience. When your spiritual understanding seems to have stopped, it is a signal for you to stop and reassess your beliefs, your actions, and your goals. Ask yourself, are they just? Are they positive? Are they uplifting? Are they loving? And do they continue to serve me? As you breathe in this day, know that today and every day you will ask, what must I take out of my experience to make my spiritual understanding stronger. Affirm, I will listen for and act on that answer. And so it is.
Thank you, Deborah.
I hope you never feel those sense of wonder. You get your fill to eat, but always keep that hunger. May you never take one single breath for granted. God forgive love, ever leave you empty-handed. I hope you still feel small standing by the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more open. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. And if you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you never fear those mountains in the distance, and never settle for the path of least resistance. Living might mean taking chances, but they're worth it. Loving might be a mistake, but it's worth the making. Now don't let this broken heart keep you bitter. When you come close to selling out, reconsider. Give the heavens above more than just a passing glance. And if you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you still feel small standing by the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. And if you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. Moving it along, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you
Elaine Scott, right in our own backyard. David Washington, Dave De La Rosa, Joel Pressman, Joey Dukes, and Pete Latrella on drums. Amazing band, amazing music, amazing community, amazing day. And now I'd like to introduce our special guest speaker today, Meagen Gosiewski. She is on the ministerial path. She's a prayer chaplain. She's all around beautiful mom and amazing friend and being, and has lots of insights to share with us. So please welcome Meagen.
Thank you. Good morning. It's so good to be. Woo. It's so good to be back here. Yeah, wow. I just had a little tear in my eye. That song was amazing. Thank you. That's one of my favorite songs. So good morning. Again, I'm Meagen Gosiewski, and I am just happy to be back here, happy to be with this beautiful family, my spiritual community. It's such an honor to just pull into the driveway every Sunday and just know that all these beautiful, smiling, loving people are going to be here. It just feels homey and warm. And I have been coming to Unity since 2015 when Reverend Elaine, I don't know if you all know this, but when she started back in 2015, my husband and I were sitting at home one Sunday, and I said, we have to go to Unity. And he said, okay. And we didn't stop. 7 years. We've had some breaks. I mean, you know, things happen. We're not here every Sunday. But for the most part, we've been here almost consistently for 7 years. And it has been an amazing experience. And it has pushed me to finish up something that I started back in 2007, which is becoming a minister. I am almost done. I officially started my last class this week. So I am so excited to be done. It's only been a 15-year journey, you know, come on. I'm ready. I'm so ready. And this has just, Reverend Elaine is so amazing, and I miss her dearly during the sabbatical, but it also makes me excited to see what's yet to come when she comes back in the fall. So as I have been studying my classes over the past several months, consciousness keeps coming as a main theme. And for those of you who are new to New Thought or Unity principles and philosophy, you may know that, or you may not know, that consciousness is the foundation, really, of who we are and what we study. And consciousness is so big and so vast that I'm not going to be able to put all this together in less than 30 minutes. But I want to at least touch in on some things. So when I first started this, I was telling my husband, he's like, well, what are you going to talk about? And I said, I want to talk about consciousness. And he said, okay, well, tell me, which, like, he likes to hear. He's always very involved in this whole process. He's invested, I guess, because, you know, I've been so busy doing things with school. So he said, all right, so tell me, what's your vision? And I said, okay, get ready. So my vision is, we got the band, and they're dressed as like 70s rockers, right? Maybe like a Kiss montage thing going on. And I come in off the thing, and there's pyrotechnics, and they're like shooting off this fire, and they're playing that song, you know, that AC/DC song, Highway to Hell. And they're playing Highway to, and I come in, and I'm like, yeah. And then I start my talk, and he's like, does the church have fire insurance? I was like, I don't know. And he said, do you want to burn it down before Reverend Darlene comes back? So I said, okay, fine. So he's always my realist. So, okay. So he said, what are you going to talk about? And I said, well, I like this idea of Highway to Hell meets Stairway to Heaven, because that's what consciousness is. It's a 70s ballad, right? It's a 70s, it's hard rock. You get in your car, you turn on the radio, you just drive straight to hell, because it's so easy, because that's, your consciousness can easily go there. But to have to get to heaven, you actually have to take steps. You have to, it's the stairway to heaven. It actually takes work to get your consciousness there. It's so easy to go the other way. We can drive, with gas being expensive, maybe not as easy as it had been, but still, it takes work to get to heaven. And so he said, okay, all right, now we're going someplace. Pyrotechnics aside, Kiss band. I think the band is Kiss, though, would have been awesome, you got to admit. So as I got going into this, I started looking at sacred texts. What do the sacred texts say? And I went to the Bible, and I went to the Bhagavad Gita, and I went to the Upanishads and the Quran, and I landed on a sacred text that you probably know called Wikipedia, because they had the best definition. So Wikipedia, the sacred text of Wikipedia says, consciousness at its simplest is sentience or awareness of internal and external existence. Despite millennia of analyses, definitions, explanations, and debates by philosophers and scientists, consciousness remains puzzling and controversial, being at once the most familiar and also the most mysterious aspect of our lives. I thought that summarized it very well. It is so familiar. Think about your consciousness. It is so familiar. It's you. It's who you are as an individual. But it is also this vast, expansive, confusing, mind-blowing, awe-inspiring piece of the divine. So as we move into this talk today, I want to bring in the science and the philosophy / spirituality, religion, and talk a little bit about how they combine together. Because consciousness is so, you even see me, I'm struggling with words because it is so challenging to explain. So why did the divine give me this? I have no idea, but I was very guided to do this. So we're gonna take it. So let's talk about the science first. First of all, you gotta give kudos to modern day scientists who think they can try to figure out what God is, because that is what consciousness is. And there are actually, I didn't even know this till I started, 2 separate universities, the University of Arizona and the University of Michigan, that have departments of conscious studies. Who knew? So you're starting to see this merge come even more together of spirituality and religion. And science, I should say. And there's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Stuart Hameroff, who is an MD by trade, but heads up this division of conscious studies at the University of Arizona. And I listened to tons of his talks, and he's very fascinating, and he's got a lot going on there. So I will summarize in the simplest terms what he says consciousness is, or our experience of consciousness. He says consciousness is like the ocean. We are a part of it, yet we are our own individual waves. I thought that was beautiful. So we are immersed in consciousness. And there's another study that is called, and I had never heard of this before, panpsychism. Anybody a panpsychist here? It is a neuroscientific Western idea that consciousness is like gravity. So it is everywhere. So you can see that science is beginning to understand what unity has known all along, is that we are immersed in this consciousness. It is everywhere. It is everything. So as we move through, there's a quote, and I don't know who said this quote, but I am in the center of consciousness always. I am in the center of the divine always. And you are in the center of the divine always. Wherever you go, you're immersed in this beautiful, amazing experience we call life. And the divine is everywhere with us. Now, in spiritual contexts, we have a few different ideas. And anybody know the Christ consciousness that we hear a lot, that we talk about in unity? Christ consciousness says that Jesus was an individual who knew his divinity and his oneness with the divine. He knew that he was one with God. And therefore, his consciousness was this pure white light. We also strive in unity to have that Christ consciousness. That's our goal in life, is to, at least I would hope it was most of our goals, is to have this amazing consciousness that is just so big and beautiful and wonderful that we know our oneness. We know our oneness with the divine, and that's what we are trying to study. But we're not the only ones. We're not the only ones who are figuring this out. Buddhism, they have their definition of consciousness is self-awareness and one's ability to discern the various energies that influence your lives. So if you are practicing Buddhist, you're in the same kind of awareness. And when I say consciousness, I am meaning also another definition is awareness. So being aware of what is going on around you, the energies, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, what other energies are your family and friends are putting out. And we all know right now there's some not so great consciousness in the world. There's a lot going on. So it's our job as spiritual beings to keep ourselves in that state of being. Thank you. Thank you. Another interesting thing I think about consciousness is, where does it lie? Where is consciousness in your body? And everybody has different ideas. And going back to the spiritual text I looked at, some say the mind, which makes a lot of sense. Some say the heart. Some say the gut. And all three of those actually have brain matter in them. So there is something going on with that idea. But what about your chakras? I'm excited to hear your talk, Reverend DeBoer, about the chakras. I may have to skip and go see what you talk about next week. But also the aura. But as we're studying in modern day science, or as they're figuring out, it's everything. It's everything. What makes that atom, what makes the electron go around that atom? Consciousness. It has to be. So new thought in general, as we think about new thought, and when I say new thought, I mean that's the large umbrella. For those of you new to these studies, this original idea came out of the 1800s of new thought and being transformed by the way that you think. It had been around forever, but here in Western society, it started coming out in the 1800s, and it was labeled new thought. And now we have different variations, but unity is one of them. And the beauty is, when it first started, new thought was scientifically based. That was the idea behind it, that this was modern day science looking at sacred texts like the Bible and seeing them in a scientific manner so that you could change your life by the way you think. That's new thought. That's unity. And so as we look at the awareness of our thoughts, we move into the perfect blending of science and spirituality inside this particular practice. And I think that's so fascinating, because if you look at it, you can see that they are blended. They're perfectly blended. So let me give you an example. There's a study in quantum. Anybody see the movie back in the day called What the Bleep Do We Know? Do you remember that movie? I'm sure all of you now go down the rabbit hole of quantum physics quite often, but that is really what we're doing here, is we're creating this by the way we think and the way we observe our thoughts, our actions, and what we're manifesting in our life. So there is a study called entanglement theory, and I'm not a scientist, y'all, so forgive me if I'm messing this up, but they say that two particles of an atom remain connected even when separated by vast distances. And they influence each other infinitely, so that the change in one will affect the other. So they have done studies in a laboratory to show they're separating the atom, and they tickle this one over here and this one giggles. Now, of course, that is not the scientific reality of it, but that's the way I see it, is they tickle it and this one goes, ha ha ha. And they said it can happen on other sides of the universe. So our thoughts are that powerful. We are so intricately connected to the divine that if something happens way over here, we can laugh way over here. That is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And the fact that this particular spiritual tradition has been thinking in these terms for over 140 years. All things, so in New Thought, I looked up a couple definitions of what New Thought talks about this, and it says, all things and beings are interconnected through the infinite universal consciousness. My husband, he helped me write this too. We are entangled not only with each other and our environment, but also inseparable from the cosmic universal mind, aka spirit or God. It's powerful. Everything we do, and my new mantra has been here recently, I am one with the divine. Every time I turn on the news, I don't watch the news anymore because that's a whole different thing, but sometimes I'll turn it on NPR and I'll feel myself So I immediately turn it off, and that's my new affirmation. I am one with the divine. I am one with the divine. So that I can always remember I am not separated. I'm not separated. I am one. Can you share that definition again? It was brilliant. The last one? This is a mixture of hodgepodge between my husband and New Thought, but all things and beings are interconnected through the infinite universal consciousness. We are entangled not only with each other and with our environment, but also inseparable from the cosmic universal mind, aka Spirit or God. Thank you, Michael. There's a quote. Are there any? I know you know Reverend Johnny Coleman, because I think we've talked about that before. If you don't know Reverend Johnny Coleman, you need to know her. She passed away a few years ago, but she's from, I'm not originally from Chicago, but I moved to Chicago and went to school there. That's where I met my husband, and we adopted our 2 boys. And I became aware of Reverend Johnny Coleman while I was up there. And she had such a force in that city that my minister would take a vacation day just to go see her on Sunday. That's how powerful she was. She had a quote that I say a lot as well, and actually a song was made out of it. Some of you may know this. I am the thinker that thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker that thinks the thoughts. My mind will do its own thoughts if I let it, but I'm letting it. So I need to be the thinker. You should be the thinker of your thoughts. You are in control of your mind. That is the awareness. That is the consciousness. And that's what we are learning inside Unity and inside New Thought. So let me give you a real world example of how this played out in my life recently. So for those of you who know me, or you even have seen the last name that's impronounceable if you read it, Gosiewski. Thank you, Michael. I always say that's my Polish husband. We all know that war in Ukraine started back in in March. That's when Russia invaded Ukraine. So my husband is originally from Poland, born and raised, still has family and friends there. It is a border country with Ukraine. So there's a lot of fear, anxiety, frustration going on inside of Poland, and we're getting a lot of news back from them that's honestly and sometimes very different than what we hear on our media. But anyway, that's the backdrop of this story. So that's going on continuously the whole time. In the meantime, we're just kind of doing our thing, living our life, and one night I'm sitting at home on a Friday night, and I'm decided, I put the boys to sleep. I'm like, I'm going to binge watch a little Netflix. I was super excited. I had a bag of Doritos or whatever I was eating. And all of a sudden, I had severe abdominal pain, like pain I had never felt in my life. And I started screaming. And I still I've never experienced anything like that. Michael freaked out, woke up the boys, put me in the car. We all went to the ED. The boys were sitting in the ED all night long while I was screaming in there because they would not give me medication. I didn't want medication. I just wanted to know what was wrong with me. I did not want a substance to make it go away. I said, please just figure this out. Meanwhile, I'm praying. There's all this going on. The whole weekend, that was what it was about, and then it just mysteriously went away. Still don't know what it is. They never figured it out. They did all this testing. So, okay, going on. About 2 weeks later, the school calls. My son Ian had a seizure at school. And for those of you who don't know, my oldest son, the one that's now almost as tall as me, he has autism and epilepsy. He experiences those. He experiences. So he has the seizure at school, and he had not had a seizure in about 2 years because of medication. So we're trying to figure out what's going on. Why is Ian having this seizure? Meanwhile, we call his doctor. His temperature is almost 102. We're thinking COVID. It's not COVID. We do the testing. We take him to the hospital. Here we are back again 3 weeks later at the hospital at the emergency department. And they tell me that my son has a very rare kidney disorder, like a kidney infection. It's not your typical, we can give you the regular antibiotic. It's a different type of kidney infection. So we were in the hospital for a few days, and they sent him home, and he did 3 weeks of antibiotics. I've never seen anything like that. 3 weeks of antibiotics. His whole system's messed up. He's having all kinds of digestive issues. Then we finally start getting over that just a little bit as we creep into May, and then we all get COVID, one by one by one. And it's not like we all get it together in 1 week and we're done. No, it's like 1 week my son has it, then about 4 or 5 days later I get it, then almost 10 days later my husband gets it. So the whole month of May we were just sitting at home quarantined because we couldn't go anywhere. Finally we decided, okay, all right, let's go to the beach. Let's just get away. We're all better. We need to start. This has been a really not so great spring. Let's just bring in summer. We're going to go to the beach. We had a great little trip. We were gone for like 4 days. We went to the beach. And then we come home, and our kitchen is flooded. And it was in that moment that I kind of lost it. I was really not in a great space. And as I look at it now, I got in my car, I turned on the radio, and I was zooming straight down the highway, and you know where I was going. I was so upset. I was crying. I was frustrated. I was trying to deal with these people to come into my home to fix all the flooding and the water and it was awful. And I kept saying to myself, why can we not get a break? Why is life so hard? Why? That's all in my head. Why is this happening to us? Why is God doing this? What do you want from me? I was mad. My husband stopped me in the moment of that. He let me go on for a minute, mind you. He let me go on. And then he said, I want you to name 3 things that you're grateful for in this moment. Now, anyone who has ever dealt with children when they are like that teen and tween age and they roll their eyes back in their head, and you say, if you roll your eyes back in your head like that, they're going to stick. I was having one of those moments. I was like, I do not want to do that right now. I need to call this place so I can get these guys over here to fix this floor. And he was like, just do it. And so I said, fine. And so I said, I guess I'm grateful for my house and my kids, and I kind of am grateful for you. I did, I'm not lying. And of course, and then of course we laughed, and it was good, but it broke it. It broke it, because I realized in that moment, I could either go down that highway, which is super easy to go down that way, or I could take those steps and start bringing my consciousness back up. Now, I'm not going to tell you it wasn't perfect. I wasn't just miraculously healed with those 3 things I was grateful for, but it stopped it, and it made me become aware of what my thoughts were. And so I'm encouraging all of you as you start to go down that road, especially if you're like listening to the radio or the news in general. It's so easy to go down that road. Life is so crazy, and this world is so nuts and all these things. But let me tell you, the moment that I looked at that gratitude and I thought about it and I was able to reflect, and over the course of the next few days, I realized we were surrounded by angels that whole time. One of my good friends, Dr. Barb DeGusis, is going to be teaching my class with me over the next couple weeks, brought me dinner on more than one occasion. We had multiple friends who did that. The church here, when my son was in the hospital, all the children created cards, and they have these blankets, and they all played over the blanket. And then Reverend Gabby came to the hospital and draped that blanket over my son. We were surrounded by angels. It was a good thing. So in that moment, I realized it was always a little bit of light inside the darkness. And I don't know if you remember Reverend Jim Rosemergy a couple weeks ago. He was talking about the seed. And he said the seed has to be in the darkness. And in order for a seed to develop into its true potential, it has to go in that darkness. It has to be there for a bit. It doesn't stay there, but it has to be there. So the darkness is not a bad place. It's just a place you don't want to stay. You have to break out of it, but it's okay to be there. And it was okay that I cried, and it was okay that I was angry and frustrated, But if I had stayed in that state of consciousness, I could not have become the true potential that I'm supposed to be. So, sorry, I have tears in my eyes. I'm trying to read my notes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So I had I got distracted there for just a moment. So as we're moving into this, and as I'm talking about, there's no bad or good in consciousness. There just is what it is. I always go back to the indigenous peoples of the mountains of Peru that I've been lucky enough to study with over the course of the past several years. I'm a therapist by trade. For those of you who don't know, I'm a therapist, but I'm not in practice right at the moment because it's just not something I can do with my kids. But I ultimately want to get back there. But over the course of the years that I've been a therapist, I've been extremely fascinated by trauma. Being a trauma survivor myself, I want to help others make that bridge. And I've always looked for different ways. And I've done the Western trainings. There's trauma therapy. There's all kinds of wonderful studies, scientific studies that have empirical research and show that things can, happen if you take this class and you do this type of trauma treatment, and not taking away from that at all. But I always felt there was something more that we were missing. And so it's taken me on this journey to study indigenous tribes around the world and how they help people with trauma. And so I landed upon this particular group in the mountains of the Andes. They're called the Q'ero tribe, and I talked about them back in April on Earth Day. They have these amazing ways of helping people move through trauma, and they talk a lot about consciousness. Now, we're talking people that have been around for thousands of years, and before language was written, they have had these studies going on for a long time. So they have 3 separate levels of consciousness that they talk about in the Q'ero language. And hopefully I'm not butchering these words, but I think I have them right. There's the Ukupacha, and the Ukupacha is inside the earth. It is the darkness inside the earth. So that's what we would call lower states of consciousness. Not a bad place. It's just a dense energy. It's the pain and the suffering that you go through. The dark night of the soul is the Ukupacha. Here, where we are right now, is called the Kaipacha. This is our everyday existence. It's the way that we move, and life and laundry and all those things that are just part of being human. That is the Kaipacha. And then above us is the Hanekpacha. That's the angelic realm, the beings of light. That's up there. They do not put any more emphasis on the Hanekpacha than they do the Ukupacha. So we, I think that, we want to be with the divine. We want this high level of consciousness. We want to be with the angels, and that is a wonderful place to be. But if you are always there, you're not here. And if you're always in the Ukupacha, you're not in the Kaipacha. So the idea is that you move through it and you just fully experience it to be able to come back into balance. And so there's going to be highs and lows because that's part of life. But as you move through that experience, it makes you deliciously and wonderfully and spiritually human to fully be in that moment and not fight it. And we fight it so much, especially when we're down there. We do not want to be there. I don't want to be there, but I know sometimes we have to be. You are that seed. And sometimes you have to go into that darkness so that the next level of who you are can grow. So the class that I'm going to be teaching with my good friend Barb is about journeying into these different states of consciousness. If you're interested, please look on the website or come talk to me or Barb after. Barb, will you stand up and wave? She's been my partner in crime with this whole journey for the past few years. So, and she has a doctorate in, tell them what your doctorate's in, I forgot. Yes. So we are going to dive into this. And if you want to go into the Ukupacha, but then you get to go to the Hanukkah the next week. So we're going to talk about all that and about releasing energy. And we'll talk more about that in the class, and I can talk about it afterwards. And again, we're going to credit this to my husband. This is his little quote here. All three layers play an important role. The Hanukkah, the Kaipacha, and the Ukupacha, or higher levels of consciousness and lower levels. Without a down, there is no up. Without a down or an up, there is no middle. Each is inevitable in order to truly experience the full spectrum of life and to grow. Neither one is good or bad. Therefore, none should be desperately avoided, yet also not considered for permanent residency. We naturally use the layers interchangeably on our life's path as we strive to maintain balance between various states of consciousness. Now, for a man whose first language was not English, he does pretty good. So, David, So I'm going to move into my ending here. Consciousness, like its many definitions, is infinite and cannot fully be captured by a singular concept, scientific, spiritual, or another. The journey through consciousness should not be feared, but rather welcomed as an opportunity to gain spiritual wisdom and growth. It is a blessing for our soul to expand. So as I close out my talk today, any Ian Levanzant fans here? I'm going to close out with a quote by her. She is, I love you. She has been with me on my journey. I've been a big fan of hers for many years. No matter what is happening in your relationships, fear nothing and no one. When you walk with consciousness, when you walk with the consciousness of the Creator, there is nothing to fear. Do not fear that people will harm you or leave you. Do not fear people will threaten you. Do not fear obstacles that confront you. Have no fear or harm to your body or possessions. You are walking with the strong arm of the law. Do not fear disapproval. Do not fear criticism. Do not fear judgment. Know that the only energy that has any power in your life is the gift of breath from God. Do not fear places. Do not fear darkness. Do not fear separation or divorce. Do not fear being alone. Do not fear being cast aside. When you walk with the Master, you are in the best company available. Thank you, Ian Levanzant. Thank you. Thank you. So let's just take this in for a moment. Let's embody this wisdom. Find yourself a comfortable spot in your seat. Put both feet on the floor. Be aware of the thoughts you're thinking. Be aware of any tension in your body and move to let that go. Release that down to Mother Earth. All those worries, just let it go. Mother Earth will take it and she'll make something beautiful out of it. You don't have to worry about that part. Just allow it to be away from you and feel the love and the highest consciousness that you have, connecting in with the divine. And say to yourself, I am one with the divine. I am one with the divine. I am one with the universal consciousness, the great creator of all. There is no separation. There is only unity. As I walk through this day, as I walk through my week, I walk in great company. For Spirit is always with me. Let us be aware of our thoughts. Let us be aware of our movements and actions in this world. And let that awareness create a place of peace and love, a place of balance, acceptance, harmony. For when you are one with the divine, there can be nothing less. And I thank you, great God, great Creator. Thank you for your blessings, for the gift of knowing that even in the darkness, there is always a spark of light. Even in the darkest of times, there are angels around us. In the face of friends, doctors, bus drivers, family, we are surrounded by love. Thank you for this journey we call life. May it be wonderful and beautiful, and may we dance every chance we get. Thank you. Thank you. I release, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Meagen. What a beautifully empowering, clear, insightful, authentic message to share. I can't wait to go back and listen again. I'm just, my consciousness is like, so thank you for that. I would like to invite up, Tom, are you bringing the box up? Our prayer chaplain, Tom Zinker, and our board member, Jennifer Hastings, will be bringing up a blue box. And this is all part of consciousness and spiritual community. There are ways to be of support and be supported. So Tom is carrying our prayer box, and we have a beautiful team, a sacred prayer team. We have our prayer chaplain team. We have a ministerial team. And if you put in a prayer request for support, that gets held in that conscious awareness of wholeness and life and love and support through this amazing team. And you know that also goes out to Silent Unity and is held in prayer for 24/7 for 30 days. So we got you, and we're supporting you. So if you have a prayer request, you can either, those of you virtually, you can email the main email here, and I will certainly pass that along. And if you have a prayer request, we also have, Tom will be available for prayer in person after the service. So if you go out in the lobby, you'll see a little sign that says prayer chaplain, and they'll take you in and pray with you in person. And then Jennifer is holding a blue box, and this is our new way of giving and receiving here for the love offerings. There are many ways to support this community financially. Online, we have text to give, and we have these blue boxes out in our lobby and one in here. And this just symbolizes the amazing givingness of this community. It's allowed us through these last few years to keep our doors open, keep that light shining, and keep connected to one another and continue to grow and expand in spiritual community. So I want to extend great gratitude for the ongoing gifts and support that each of you offer this community. And I always like to say, you put the you in unity. So thank you for that. Thank you, you too. And now we're going to have one final song with Elaine and David and our band.
gonna feel real good. It's gonna make a difference. I'm gonna make it right. As I turned up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind. There are kids on the street without enough to eat. Who am I pretending not to blending, not to see them weep? A summer's disregard, a broken bottle top, and a one-man soul. They follow each other on the wind, you know, 'cause they got nowhere to go. That's why I'm starting with me. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message would have been any clearer. If you want to make this world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. Yeah. Na 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 na. Oh. I've been a victim of a selfish kind of love. It's time that I realize there's some with no homes, without a nickel to loan. Could it be me that they're not alone? A willow deeply scarred, a body's broken heart, and a washed out tree. They follow the pattern of the wind, you see, 'cause they got no place to be. That's why I'm starting with me. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message would have been any clearer. If you want to make this world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message would have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make the change. I'm starting with the girl in the mirror. I'm asking her to change her ways. And no message would have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and take that change. Yeah. That change, that change. Message would have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. Yeah. Na 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 na. Oh oh. Na 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 na. Selfish kind of love going once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. I'm gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. Make that change.
Elaine, Scott, please come back and share your gifts with us again. Thank you so much. And so we close out this little celebration here, and the invitation, as Meagen shared, is to just ride those waves of consciousness and just bring your best self to each moment and shine that light and know that you are fully supported in sharing your gifts and who you've come here to be. So thank you for that. And with that, we will close with a prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you, Meagen. If you want information about her class, there's an in-person class here on Tuesday evening, and it runs for 2 weeks. And then there's an online class on Zoom as well. And Barb, thank you for joining her and sharing that message. So they'll be available to speak with afterwards. And Elaine and David and our amazing band is going to close us out with more of that song. Have a beautiful week.